so happy we alive.
Cousin, he said, my dad had that same assignment, and recognized, of course, that in 1928 alcohol was illegal and cannabis was legal. And I think the thing that's so disturbing to me about the whole cannabis story is just the blatant falsehoods. I mean, there's not even close to the truth on the part of the government, even today. I mean, you would think that after all of the criticism and after all of the science, that there would be an effort to try to have the material that the government produces have some kind of resemblance to reality or real facts. I'm really struck by the position of the American Medical Association. When in 1937 the Marijuana Tax Act was being considered, and of course the Congress was controlled by the Democrats, the AMA were Republicans, so they were pretty hostile to the AMA, and they did not involve them in developing the Marijuana Tax Act. The lobbyist for the AMA was a doctor and a lawyer who had been a lobbyist for the AMA for at least 30 years. And he said, how could you work on this for 2 years without involving the AMA? And he said, we did not know that you were talking about cannabis. Marijuana is just a slang term that has been applied to cannabis. We don't know of any dangers that are associated with cannabis. This is what the AMA said contemporaneously in 1937. At that time, there were 28 different patent medicines that were on the market that contained cannabis. And if you go back to the turn of the century, cannabis was probably the number 2 or 3 most commonly used medication in the United States. And you had all of the well-known drug companies produced tincture of cannabis. Eli Lilly, Park Davis, Squibb, Merck, Smith Brothers, the cough drop people. All of these companies produced products that had cannabis in them, and the Congress didn't want to hear from the AMA. They chastised this doctor and said, if you don't have anything constructive to say, we don't want to hear it. What's interesting that on the
about the issue of marijuana, right. Congress didn't want to hear. Okay, I just wanted.
Right, yeah, they didn't want to hear that the AMA thought that the Marijuana Tax Act was a bad idea. They were against the Marijuana Tax Act.
Okay.
They said there was no need for it. They said that would be cumbersome for physicians and pharmacists. The interesting thing is that, and this of course was in committee hearings. Then when they went before the full House of Representatives, there wasn't even a recorded vote on the Marijuana Tax Act. They had what they called tellers, where you just walk by a particular point, you count the number of people that walk by when you say yay and when you say nay, whichever is the most, that it passes or it fails. They had a 1 minute and 25-second debate about the Marijuana Tax Act. One guy asked, "What's it about?" The Speaker of the House said, "I think it's about some narcotic or something." One other person, one of the few Republicans remaining in the House of Representatives in the late 1930s, asked where did the AMA stand on it. Not that it made any difference to the Democrats that were running the place at the time. And one of the people, one of the Congress people that had been at the hearing said, "Oh, the AMA was for this," which of course was a blatant lie. And the Marijuana Tax Act passed in 1937. And it's really a shame, because when you come down to modern day and take a look at the research that's being done, there's no question that modern research confirms 5,000 years of anecdotal history that cannabis is indeed very, very useful for treating the symptoms of a number of medical conditions.
And I mean, we back in the Louisville area here are seeing the news about that there's cannabis clubs out in California or some kind of mechanism whereby patients that benefit from marijuana can obtain marijuana, but at the same time we see constant stories that the clubs are being harassed by the government, physicians are being harassed. Is it really a better situation out here, or what's going on? Well, especially within the medical community. I mean, are there other physicians? I mean, do you know many physicians of like mind who appreciate the?
Well, first off, both of what you say is true. There is harassment, and it is better.
You all like it hot.
Well, I didn't say that I liked it. I think that it's a shame that you have people in the criminal justice system who are unwilling to follow the law. I mean, there are a lot of nitpicking kinds of prosecutions, which in most cases the people are found not guilty because the juries are comprised of the voters who voted by what is generally considered a landslide to approve the medicinal use of cannabis. And I think the unfortunate thing is that you have police and judges who are practicing medicine. I mean, I don't understand why the California Medical Association doesn't go after some of these people for practicing medicine without a license. But, you know, maybe it's just that they're giving these medical opinions in the course of their law enforcement function. But it's their medical opinion, not the medical opinion of a physician. So there is a problem. Shortly after Prop 215 passed, we had a front page article in the local Santa Barbara paper, and they interviewed 5 physicians, of whom 4 of them were in favor of Prop 215. Now, this wasn't necessarily a random sample, but one of them was a top infectious disease physician in our area who handled most of the AIDS patients. Another one was a top oncologist. Another one was a fellow who had worked at the university and with the community clinic, and the other one was myself. I've had a number of physicians who have referred patients to me, and the reason they haven't made the recommendations themselves is that they've been intimidated, or they work for group practice or the county or Kaiser, and the policy is that we're, talk to your patients about it, but we're not going to be making those recommendations. And it's frustrating. I mean, I always tell the people when they come and see me that they ought to try and get their regular physician to make the recommendation. And I get various responses, such as, I wouldn't share this with my regular physician. I talked to my regular physician about it. They said it was a good idea, but they couldn't do it. Or they said, "You go see Dr. Bearman." So you get all of this. The State Board of Medical Quality Assurance has gone after a couple of physicians. One physician up here in the Bay Area who has probably done the most recommendations in the state. A number of the people who turned them in were law enforcement officials. What they know about the quality of medical care, I'm not sure. But we could always use new doctors, and if we have police officers who can practice medicine, I say let's license them and get them out there in the underserved communities. But frankly, I don't think they could pass the medical boards. I don't think they could get into medical school. And I'm really disturbed that we have police officers who have the audacity, the chutzpah, as we say in my tribe, to criticize a doctor for practicing poor quality care because they don't respect the will of the voters of the state of California.
Really? But they're following what the people, the politicians in charge want to happen, right?
It's really not clear what the politicians in charge want to happen. Interestingly, when Prop 215 was on the ballot,